We've got news about Avengers 5. We've got some more terrible news about Blade, and we've got some news about Daredevil Born Again, and so much more. But you guys, you know what comes up first.
Welcome to the Light, Camera, Rant Podcast. Your source for the latest on movies, TV shows, and video games. Get ready for ranting, raving, and reviewing. Here is your host, Lee.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Lights Camera Rant. As always, we're going to dive into the news and we're going to get into the reviews, which is going to be the latest episode of Acolyte and the Boys Season 4, which we're going to be diving in. And I would like to say thank you very much for tuning in this episode. Whether you're listening to us or watching us, it doesn't matter. Thank you so much for coming for the ride. And if you haven't already, go check out our last episode where we dived into the Boys premiere and Acolyte premiere back to back, and a little bit more as well. But this past week, I almost feel like the news has been a bit up and down. Like we've got some really good nuggets, but at the same time, it's been a little bit quiet on another side. I'm a bit just like, I don't know. Like I just felt like the last few months have just been like banger after banger after banger of news coming out, but right now, not so much. But in saying that, we do have a review of the brand new Russell Crowe movie called Exorcism. If you haven't already gone and checked it out, please do. And we've also got an upcoming review of The Promised Land, which is our very first Danish film that we're going to review as well. So keep that notification bell on, and you know that what that saying is, all of it, so you don't miss a single beat. Now, unfortunately, which I have had to do this a couple of times, I've done a lot more than I initially expected I would. But, you know, as a news reporter, as a ranter, yeah, I'm going to. Unfortunately, in this past week, sorry, that was television. Donald Sutherland has passed away. He was in incredible movies in MASH, Animal House, Buffy, and as well as Hunger Games. All of them he has unfortunately passed away on his lengthy filmography and TV show altogether. Our hearts of condolences go out to his friends, his family, and his pets as well. It's sad seeing the icon leave the industry, especially when they've got such a plethora of a filmography like as what he does and has. So it's very sad to see. So everyone from the Lights Camera family, we all hearts and prayers go out to him and his family and his pets all together. But let's get on to something a little bit more happy, a little bit positive, which is, I think a few episodes now, I've unfortunately had to start with an RIP, which you definitely don't like doing, but it is the case. But in this past week, to get excited, we got the brand new poster and trailer for the Penguin TV show that is dropping in September on HBO Max. Now, for people in Australia, I'm not too sure what it's going to be, whether it's going to be Binge, Amazon, or Stan. It's one of those three that usually takes the cake for any HBO Max properties, so keep your eye out for that. Now, so the Penguin TV show is only going to be 3 or 4 episodes long, and this will be about the Penguin overtaking and getting control of Gotham City after the events of the Batman. I am really excited to dive back into this world of the Matt Reeves Batverse. The only thing that does suck is that this will be our only little tidbit before the Batman 2. That is about a year and a half away. That's 2026 when that was coming out. It got delayed. So this is going to have to buy us some time until when that comes out, which does suck because if the Batman 2 was still coming out in 2025, that would have been good. You got this about 8 months later. We got Batman 2, but that's not going to be the case. But the trailer, the world, everything just looks really intense, and I can't wait to dive back into this world. But if you haven't already, definitely go check out the trailer. Let me know what you think. Are you excited for this, or you're like, I don't really care. Just call me when Batman 2 comes out, which is not for another year and a half. So you're going to be waiting a little bit longer. But the poster looks sick. Now, this is something I was not expecting to say at all, but however, here we are. Inside Out 2 has beaten Dune 2 at the domestic box office numbers. So, Dune 2 made $285 million at the box office. Currently, right now, Inside Out 2 has made $287 million. So, that's right. Inside Out 2 beat Dune 2. I don't think it's going to beat globally because the global amount number for Dune 2 is $700 million. Currently, right now, Inside 2 is at 520, or roughly about that mark. So, yeah, I don't see them coming away and beating them all together, but you never know. And it's at this stage, unfortunately, with what Deadpool is the only movie coming out this year that I believe will beat Dune 2 at the box office. It's going to be domestically, it's going to be globally, all together, because this is the only Marvel movie that's coming out this year, and it's the only DC film that's coming out this year as well. The Penguin TV show is the only DC property live action that we're getting this year. Yes, we are getting Kite Man 2. Kite Man spin-off from the Harley Quinn TV show. Yes, we are getting that later. But nothing else is going to be, I don't believe, will hit that global box office numbers as what Deadpool and Wolverine is going to hit. It's going to be the massive winner. And it's interesting. It's interesting to look at the reflection compared to last year. Last year was absolutely stacked. It was one of the most stacked years for the film industry that came out between everything that came out last year. Multiple Marvel movies, DC films, Oppenheimer, Barbie, Gran Turismo movie. There was like just a lot fully packed, but this year is very thinning. Now, we all know why this year is very thin. It's because of the writer's strike, the actor's strike, any flow-on effects because of COVID has just pushed everything that's that far out. When 2026 is looking to be the big year that we will be getting, which I've spoken about multiple times. We're getting 3 Marvel movies next year. We've got DC coming back and strong with their first Superman movie. There's just so much. But yes, Inside Out 2 has beat Dune 2. As soon as I saw the report, I was like, that's nothing I thought I would see. But hey, no, you never know. Now, this is going to be interesting as well. Marvel has announced that they're going to be they have their official Marvel podcast that will be coming out on June 26th. Now, this podcast will contain interviews, insights, backstories, guests, everything you expect from a Marvel podcast. Now, the interesting thing is, there is a lot of Marvel podcasts like this. We were almost going to be a Marvel-only podcast at the initial conception of this show, but we're finally getting a Marvel podcast. This is going to be so interesting to hear about all these backstories. And yes, there are a lot. I have no doubt people are like, oh, it's just going to be boring. I'm like, hey, it's going to be interesting. And I'm all for it. Kevin Feige is going to be a guest. There are so many guests they can get on for this show, between all the Marvel actors, all the behind the scenes. So the Marvel podcast could go on for a very long time. I'll be there, episode 1. Very curious to see how it's all going to play out in the structure of the show. But at the end of this month, get ready for the brand new Marvel official podcast. Uncharted fans. Now, we knew this was rumored to be in the works. We do know that the reviews for Uncharted 1 weren't very good. But however, Sony has announced that Uncharted 2 is officially in the works. They've made their official statement on this. Unfortunately, there's nothing about casting. There's nothing about release date, time frames, nothing like that. But if it's currently in the works, we're currently looking at end of 2026, 2027. 2026. I would say we'll be looking at this movie. Now, I know a lot of people didn't like Uncharted. For me, I did enjoy it for just being a simple adventure film, which I feel like we don't get enough of those anymore. So I still enjoyed it. It wasn't amazing when you compare it to the likes of The Last of Us, Fallout, in the video game adaptation space, how it's all been going. It wasn't that top tier, However, at the same time, it was just good watching an adventure movie and be like, let's go. I'm in. Take my money. But yes, Uncharted fans, Uncharted 2 is currently in the works. Daredevil fans, which we know this is kind of no surprise, but Charlie Cox has confirmed that there is going to be more one-shot hallway type of scenes we're going to be getting in this show. And apparently, from what he has seen and what he's filmed, he is very excited this, and we are going to love it. Now, if you haven't already watched the Daredevil TV show from Netflix, is that there was, I'd say, about one or two, three iconic hallway scenes of one-shot takes. Now, we did get that in the oh my god, I just forgot the the Marvel TV show that came out at the beginning of this year. Echo. Sorry, we did get that Echo in episode 2 or 3, I do believe we did get that with Echo and Daredevil, which is really cool. Now, these scenes can take up a lot of time, but when they come out and how they're shot, they look fantastic. And that is where Daredevil did so well. I think it's season 3, there's a hallway scene that you can always say, oh, well, that goes for a little bit long, but it's just good to watch. Just the fact that you know when you're watching something and it's just literally just one scene. It's ridiculous because you can't have any mistakes. You just got to roll with it and keep going. And, you know, time is money, and I cannot wait for Daredevil Born Again. The rumor is it will be streaming on Disney Plus on February or March next year. It's not only it's going to be broken up into 2 seasons. It's still a little up in there whether or not it's going to be the original booked 18 that was meant to get. So that's up in the air about as well. But Charlie Cox has decided. I can't wait to see it. Now, also, we got some little bit juice about Avengers 5, which I feel like we haven't had a lot at all. Is that Avengers 5 will start shooting next year thanks to Benedict Cumberbatch, who said in a recent interview that he's excited to come back as Doctor Strange, and he will be appearing in Avengers 5. They're expected to start shooting next year if there's no freaking delays. For the love of God. If there's no delays, then Avengers 5 will start shooting next year. Now, that's why I'm saying that. I'm excited to hear that. I'm excited to see the Avengers 5 is moving forward. I just hope this year at D23 or at Comic-Con we get some meaty news about what's happening, the story, what the direction, everything, obviously, with Kang, what is going on. Now, he did say Avengers 5, obviously, because he didn't say Avengers Kang Dynasty, because Avengers 5 is no longer called Kang Dynasty after with Jonathan Majors has got the flick. So, yeah, and we're still up in the air of what's going to happen with Kang, because he's meant to be the new big bad, and currently right now we have no big bad as yet. Now, also, this is, I was very excited about this. And I really hope this is what it's going to be leading into. Now, after last few months, we've had different interviews from Tom Holland, Sony, that of course, they're trying to get the script ready and primed for Spider-Man 4, MCU Spider-Man 4. Now, what the rumor is that apparently Sony has done early casting calls for a live-action Miles Morales. Now, the rumor is that Miles Morales will be appearing in Spider-Man 4 as a type of legacy, type of Iron Man, Spider-Man relationship that we should be getting. If Miles Morales is being introduced in Spider-Man 4, that is going to be bloody fantastic. I'm excited. Just not for just a different Spider-Man, if you will. And just the Miles Morales story is great. His story, his character, how he's different to Peter. And I'm just excited. As we've seen from the Spider-Verse movies, as we've seen the Spider-Man games, it would just be fantastic to see this iconic character come on the big screen. Now, in saying that, I just wish we would get the same thing with Batman Beyond with Terry McGinnis and get Batman of the Future, Batman Beyond movie, which I am still clamoring for, that hopefully we will eventually get. But anyway, that's another rant for another day. But yes, so if this is indeed the case, if there is correct, then this is how Spider-Man 4 is going to be shaping up, and I could not be any more excited. Now, the rumor is they're meant to start shooting it this year, but look, if D23, they come in and go, this is what we're doing for Spider-Man 4, this is when it's coming out, and we get Miles Morales, the entire roof is going to be blown off. At the same time, whoever is going to take on the role as Miles Morales in live action, good luck, because you're going to have a little bit of weight going into that role. Now, this is the other Blade news, unfortunately, is no shock. Now, last week we reported the fact that Blade has lost its director and they're currently looking for another director. Since that report that I gave, we've also heard that apparently the script is being rewritten. Apparently, there's a set they're no longer going to be using because of this, and apparently it was originally going to be a period piece in the 1920s. Now it's going to be set in modern day, and now Delroy Lindo, who is going to be one of the lead actors in the Blade movie, has left the project due to the many delays, production changes, and everything. Right. The Blade movie is looking to be one of the biggest messes on the MCU's part, and it's continue. Yes, let's also also say that it's not entirely Marvel's fault because of Blade. There has been so much external stuff that's happened that it's just struggling a little bit, and it continues to struggle. So I think the funny thing is, I said this is going to be very much like the DC's Flash movie, is that what this movie was originally going to look like if there was no delays and the cast members to what it's going to look like now is probably going to be completely different. Like, that's just how big the spectrum is from what's changed and everything else in between. It's just insane to think about that. That's the type of point that we are at with this movie. So again, it's not looking good for the Blade movie that's meant to come out in November 2025. Well, yeah. And the next year, they're going to start shooting soon. Also, now, surprise and no surprise at the same time. So, there's a report that Amazon Prime is going to be making a live-action Totally Spies movie Totally Spies movie altogether. I was going to say TV show, but it's a movie. Which I understood, Amazon Prime, they'll do this show Big Justice. This was a cartoon from many, many years ago, and it has a massive fan base. But the interesting thing is Will Ferrell will be producing this. So if Will Ferrell is producing this, it's going to be very interesting to see what elements they're going to take, how Will Ferrell is going to influence the project, and how is this going to come out. Now, again, it is going to be made. They're probably looking again. You're looking at 2025 and 2025 roughly for this stage. But yes, for any Total Spies fans, Amazon Prime, you got a movie on its way. Now, let's get into the review for Acolyte. Doogies. I'm glad they dropped the 1920s and Blade's Door. Thank God for that. But yeah, still questionable. I heard a lot of delays. Ali is calling the shots. Ali has to call the shots. It's just a bloody mess. Also, thank you very much for coming past live on Twitch. What I don't understand is how much could go. This is everything goes wrong with Blade. Okay, is that and more and more and more and more has gone wrong with Blade. That's the funny thing, is it just keeps adding on how messy this project has gotten. What's how it's going to look like. My fingers crossed it's going to be a good movie, but how much has changed is the question I love to know. But yes, now let's get into Acolyte. Now, I reported in the last week that Acolyte, again, was boring me. It was boring me. It was just not doing anything for me. I consider this the most boring Disney Plus Star Wars TV show they have ever brought out. To the point where the episode ends, I'm like, don't really give a shit about the next episode. I'm bored. I'm looking at my watch, and it's just not engaging. It's nothing that's really putting me. There was a part of it was like, oh no, we're going to find out, who's killing these Jedi. We found out who those. We find out these. We find out who the who's killing the Jedi straight off the bat. Boring as shit. It is, man. It is. Ty, it is boring as shit. Ty's, who is from the Who's Got the Next Game podcast. Absolutely go check that out. Great show. I need to catch you guys last episode, but it is. And the hard thing with Acolyte, which again, I know there's a lot of criticisms about Ahsoka, but Ahsoka was exciting. And if you take away all the nostalgia, being Anakin and everything, it's still a good show. It's still a good show, but this is just not grabbing. We need to do another collab soon. Yes, we do, man. Yes, we do. It is long overdue, and we need to do it. Way too long overdue, man. Like, we're in June of 2025 now. 2024. I know, shit. In 3 months we'll be married, and 6 months will be Christmas. Jesus. And this last episode, which is called The Day, is essentially the hunt for Kanaka. Really, it is. They got to try and find him, and they go on the planet, and he's the last second last Jedi, and they go try and find him. So we've got all the Jedi going to go chase him. We've got Osha's joining the Jedi chase. We've got Maze chasing them in this one final thing. And indeed, Ty, it is wild times. Damn right it is. They're all chasing them on this planet. And as I was watching it, okay, I'm like, good, Osha's going to be joining the Jedi. Soren is still... Soul is still iffy about everything going on. Soren, God, I'm thinking Lord of the Rings. Soul is still a little bit iffy with everything, like in the sense like he's holding back on what really happened on Osha's planet, how the fire started, why they're all dead, the sisters. So he still hasn't said anything. Still said anything of what's going on. Ty, I joined your Discord. Old account got hacked. That's why. I was looking back in my chat, man, and I was looking back and it was like, oh, I mean, he must have deleted his Discord. It must have been like, nah, I'm done. I want to do something else. And I just saw it. I was like, oh, that makes more sense than why. But yeah, you're watching it. They're all very like, and then the spoilers left, right, and center going is Kanaka gets killed off screen. And I'm watching going, well, that's anticlimactic that he just died like that. I was like, oh, okay. I guess he's just dead. That was, a really important character. The whole point was all coming to this. Not to mention, Soul did say that he hasn't been talking to anybody for a few months, and he's cocked it like that because of a lightsaber. I'm like, okay, because obviously May's changed sides. She wanted to help him. That didn't really work out when she found his body that he'd been sliced. I feel like that should have been recorded, or there should have been a scene in that. He shouldn't have just died like that. But hey, you know what? What do I know? I'm just going to rant about it. Damn right, I'm going to rant about it. He died. We get Osha still being very close to Soul, and he does say that when we get May, we'll get him together, and I'll explain everything back to the ship. And I'm like, okay, what happened? You need to tell us what happened. That's probably that right now. That is the biggest mystery. The biggest mystery in who the Sith is. Which the Sith does rock up at the end of this episode. Does because you're watching it, and does like a Mary Poppins thing in the background. Like slowly just floats down to the ground, walks right up to Osha, whips out the lightsaber, pushes her out of the way, and then pushes all the Jedi away as they go to rush him or her, them, it. I don't know what you want to call it right now. But just beats him. I think the weirdest thing was that they just floated down. Like, wasn't like jump off a ledge and come up behind and be like, boo. It was more just like, hey, kids, I'm right here. Like, okay, that's a little bit weird. Just a little bit. So I was like, okay, and then that's the ending of the episode for Acolyte. And not to mention we still don't know who the Sith is. I do apologize, I forgot his name. One of the Jedi that's from episode 1 and episode 2. He also does appear in this and also breaks canon, which Star Wars fans are actually nuts about because it's more like he knows what's going to happen, and he says one of the most iconic lines in episode 1 saying, there hasn't been a Sith Sith in millennia. at the same time, he's like, actually, there was a few hundred years ago. There actually was, but I'm not going to tell you. So, don't know if you really need his character if you knew their opening line. This show is just causing so much rift between the complaints I understand, between the other complaints that I'm thinking to myself, like, no, it's going a little bit too far. And obviously, in this episode, we also got there's a look, the tracker guy, and they do say him, her, or them, and I was like, oh my god. Just sometimes it feels like it's just, I don't know, just like in your face. I'm like, he's just a tracker. Like, important character, does a great job, doesn't die, thank God. Love the character, like, but okay, didn't really need to know all that. But at the same time, let's see how he goes. And then again, that's how episode 4 ends. And I completely understand. Again, the CGI, the atmosphere, love it. Like the hunt aspect in the forest, getting creepy, loved all that. At the same time, I'm just watching and going, I've got nothing to defend. I've got nothing. Everyone who's saying, explaining about the show is 100% right. It just seemed. This is one of the instances okay, let me rephrase it. This episode would be something. This show would be something where the concept was really strong, the idea was really strong, where the plot, the first draft, everything, but then just things have been added and changed again and again and again, and the meat, the raw of it, the story is just not there at the moment. And I could be totally wrong. We're only episode 4. There's another 4 episodes to go, and I could be wrong. The next episode, I could be like, this has got me back on board. This is fantastic. But at the same time, right now, if I was going to say, oh, do you want to watch Acolyte right now? I'd be like, nah, just don't watch it. Wait until the end. Wait until all the episodes come out and just do one big binge. Right now, it's not really adding anything. It's just breaking canon. It's breaking rules. It's confusing the shit out of people. And that's the Acolyte to a T. So, look, I hope episode 5 gets better. But right now, hey, be holding my breath at all. But let's get back to a show that actually is exciting to watch, is fun, is exciting, and I don't understand all the hate that's beginning of this. Season 4 has basically been review bombed as one of the worst seasons of The Boys. I don't understand that at all because I'm really enjoying it. And to me, it's the same quality as what the rest have been. It doesn't always blow. Actually, episode 2 was a bit of a blow out of the gates. But for everyone who's seen episode 2, you know exactly what I mean. Episode 4. So this particular episode, we got, which was alluded to at the end of episode 3, is Homelander went back to where he was raised and met scientists that helped him in this cold area, which unfortunately doesn't bode well for them at all. Between one bursting in flames, between someone trying to get themselves off and literally get their dick blown off, lasered off altogether, and it looks terrible. Did you see the memes? It's just the other side didn't get they were made fun. Also, did you see the memes? It's just the other side didn't get they were being fun of also into the season. But F me, one episode this was. I know. I couldn't agree with you more, man. Yeah, it's 100%. But yeah, this episode was just, I loved it. I loved it, but this episode stays with the quality. But, Homelander, which again, Anthony Stark, he deserves an Oscar for his role for Homelander. Unless he gets another opportunity, Homelander is going to be his best role that he's ever done. It's right now, it's his best role he's ever done, but after season 5, when it ends, which we all know it has to end with Homelander dying. But you watch this episode, I found watching this episode that, yes, he's twisted, he's mental, he's all the way effed up. He tortures these guys, obliterates them, kills them, but it's in such a creepy, humble way in a couple of moments. But you do feel bad for him. Like, I felt bad for him because, what's happened to him. He just wants someone to hug him. He just wants someone to love him. But he's twisted, and then that's how he was grown. He was grown and raised in a lab, and that's what happens. So Homeland is the perfect example of what would happen to Superman if he landed in the city, opposed to landing in Kansas, as he's done. Which there is a comic that does show that particular perfectly of what happened, which is a Flashpoint paradox, and you get to see what happened to him. All the changes are landing somewhere else. Now, yes, that does happen. There is episodes that are very bloody. It's a bit of a mess. We get the whole thing between Frenchie and Colin. Frenchie finally comes out and tells Colin that he killed his family, which Frenchie looks like he really wants to die, but obviously Colin doesn't kill him. But Colin does say, if I ever see you again, I'm going to kill you. So that plot point is roughly about at that point. Huey goes to get Compound V for his dad because his dad's about to die and his mum's going to turn off the life support altogether, which was it's a bit rough but understandable. And then we obviously get the giant thing with Firecracker doing the giant public display right across from the Starlight Foundation, which ends in a brutal, bloody mess. Effed up in so many more ways than I expected, but just I love the representation of what happens when this stuff happens. We also get Ezekiel's back, who was a church master in season 2, if I am correct. With the really long arms, Mr. Fantastic style, he returns. And obviously Firecracker's thing is to antagonize Starlight altogether, so she goes off the plot and goes to try and kill her, which she does because they mention that she got an abortion, and that sets Starlight off ridiculously, and goes to go kill her. I really wanted to actually get her to kill Firecracker, but Mother's Milk stops her, and they go somewhere else. And of course, all the Starlighters leave the Starlight Foundation. Starlight's getting the raw. Annie, she's getting the raw deal this season. It is not looking good between her trying to do the right thing and everything happening. And not to mention, she doesn't tell the boys on why Firecracker hates her, which we did find out in last season. So last episode was because of their pageant days. Women hold a grudge. Who knew? So we how happens with Firecracker, and then obviously Butcher, Frenchie go through Firecracker's trailer, which this is really weird. So Ezekiel was about to kill Butcher, had him around his neck, about to kill him, but then he sees Becca, he starts blurring out. Next thing you hear Ezekiel cry out for help, and then Butcher comes to, and his guts are everywhere. He's been plastered everywhere around it, just like he just exploded. But again, we do get to see with Butcher that little eel or something that's going around his brain. So this is the biggest question I have is Butcher going to die in 6 months? Because he says he took Compound V and it didn't help. So is he turning into something else entirely? I see a whole thread saying that will he become the new villain of the show because his mind's becoming completely messed up. But if the Compound V didn't help him, then obviously he's got powers somewhere else. So something might be waking up in him, if you will, waking up the X gene, if you will, maybe something like that. But something's really going on with Butcher, which I really can't wait to see. Then we also do get Huey gets Compound V from A-Train, who does go through Homelander's drawers and finds all weird shit, which they finally do make up. He does forgive him for everything that he has done between what he to his girlfriend, and which is from episode 1, which we got to see, which was goddamn. That's how you start the season altogether. But we do get that. Now, in saying that, I do like the thing that we've got closure on that between Huey and A-Train. We also get Kimiko and Huey going into a massive fight. We do A-Train, Ultimate Wingman. Yep, damn right. I feel bad because like he was, from first season, season 2, you feel bad for him. He's nearly died. He's trying to do the right thing. He's the fastest man alive. And he does want to do the right thing, but he doesn't want to get completely murdered from Homelander. Not to mention, we also find out the weird shit between the Deep and Sister Sage. We find out why the little lobotomy thing is on her desk. And you find out what, as we predicted, it's to make her brain numb down because it regenerates. So her skin doesn't. She's not immortal, but her brain regenerates. And the scene is just rough as guts. If you haven't watched it, you literally see the thing go behind her eye and scrape her brain. I'm like, oh my God, this is like just watching it. It's just like, oh, because it just goes behind the eye, and even the Deep's just like, this is gross. But he does what he does to get his rocks off, and she tells him everything. So I love their relationship and what's happening with there, and you see actually how messed up Sister Sage is. But this seeing between what's happening with Butcher, what's going, Frenchie's going through, Kimiko's little backstory, Starlight, Homelander, which as you were watching this episode, the thumbnail of him smiling, covered in blood, because he kills the entire scientists except for the one lady that was the head of it all, he's locked her inside this room, covered in the blood and body parts of her colleagues. It is a mess. Like, just a massive thing. So when I'm just watching this, I'm just like, why is Acolyte like this? Not saying about the bloody or the brutality, but the writing is just showing you the difference between each show. The Boys ended, and I'm looking like, I can't wait for episode 5. And it just really sucks because, we're already technically halfway through The Boys, and it's almost about to end, and it feels like it just started, and we still have to wait another year before Gen V. That's Gen V season 2, which none of the Gen V characters have appeared yet. They have been mentioned. Everything about the school's been mentioned, but we won't see them yet. So what's going to happen about this week's episode is going to be sickening. Is sick. But I just, for a fan who's watching Acolyte, and Tony Stark has began a call from James Gunn about Reverse Flash or the Joker, surely. Reverse Flash. He would be perfect as Reverse Flash. I know there's a lot of fan photos out there. I've seen him Reverse Flash, or what's his name? He's from the future. Booster Gold. Booster Gold is another one I've seen that people have picked him. But the thing is, he'd be good as Reverse Flash. Hell, he'd be great. I think there was a report that he was almost going to be the villain in the Blade movie, which would have been sick. I'd love to see what he would do in the MCU. I just don't know who he'd play. We want to play him as a really big villain, not Doctor Doom or anybody like that, but just a really big villain that we haven't seen or he'd be perfect as. But he'd fit too well Reverse Flash that better than anyone mentally. Pretty much, man. He'd kill it. But like as I was saying, is being as a fan and being who loves Star Wars, love The Boys, and when you are just watching these two shows and just how separated they are and the quality, and you're just like, if this is Acolyte, this is The Boys, I'll just keep The Boys right now. Yeah, it's just not looking good for them. But I gotta know, if you've watched The Boys last episode, Acolyte, tell me what you think. What didn't you like? What's the bet? What's that? Are you excited? Hell, I even think probably the Skeleton Crew at the end of the year with a new Disney Plus TV show will be better than Acolyte right now. But Anthony is, whatever he does next after The Boys, because season 5 of The Boys will be the last season. And as I said, we know he's going to die, so where he's going to rock up next is a big question. But he will be, if he's not already, he has to be sorted out, because bloody hell, the man should get an Oscar for his performance as Homelander, and how this is going to end entirely is very exciting to know what's going to happen with him altogether. But look, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and for everyone else who's been watching and coming along, thank you so much for tuning in for this episode. So it's an exciting time being a boys fan, not so exciting for a Star Wars fan. And as each week goes past, we're getting closer and closer to Deadpool and Wolverine, which I'm super excited for and can't wait. But look, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. And thank you for Ty and Doogie for coming past and watching on the Twitch. Appreciate it as well. And until next time, happy ranting.
Thanks for listening to Lights, Camera, Rant. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a rating and review, and be sure to tell your friends. Until next time, happy ranting.